How much do you want? About $4. Okay. Myron, it's 9 o'clock.
Ready?
Is Brenda not here today?
She's flying home from NACO.
Oh, okay.
We can call her now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 a.m. It's Tuesday, July 16th, and time for our weekly meeting of the Cottington County Board of Commission. We'll open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Gable, you want to lead us? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Brenda.
Brenda, you're online with us. Can you hear us? Hello?
Calling over here. Oh. That's not gonna work. We have to call her.
What's her number?
880, hang on, let me make sure she's hung up. We have to call her.
Well, in the meantime, we have some housekeeping chores to do. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. And if you do get a call that you need to take during the meeting, please step out into the rotunda so you don't disrupt the meeting. The meeting is being streamed live, so if you wish to address the board, you'll know ahead of time that you will be on the live stream. And that's just for your heads up, so you know what's
Brenda.
going on.
Brenda, are you there?
Let's hang up and start again.
Commissioner Hatton is trying to join the meeting via our electronics.
She was going through security, so that's part of the problem.
But we'll continue with the meeting. In the meantime, also, is there anyone in the audience today that wishes to address the board with any concern or any item that is not on the agenda? We do have a couple here that do wish to. So we'll save time for you during the open towards the end of the meeting, and we'll allow you at least 5 minutes. There's no action that can be taken on whatever item that concern that you may have, simply because it is not on the agenda, but we certainly will hear what you have to say. Also, is there any items on the agenda that the board finds may be in conflict of interest with them? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the,
I'll make that motion.
we have a motion to approve the agenda, a motion by Van Dusen, second by Gable. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Brenda?
Brenda's not online.
Oh, she's not on yet.
We're still working on it.
When she comes online,
Try again, she said.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if you can give me just a minute to get her online here.
Hello,
Hi, Brenda. Can you hear us?
this is not Brenda. You must have the wrong number.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, Cindy, you're dialing.
We should get a lot of, maybe we'll get a lot of views on the YouTube.
I'll look it up here once.
You got it, Charlie?
you should have asked her if she wished to join the meeting.
We need your vote. Can you?
Commissioner for a day, you win.
612.
That wasn't even close.
I had 10.
She certainly sounded like she knew what she was talking about.
Good morning.
Is this Brenda? Okay, Brenda, you're on.
Yeah, the last person wasn't.
Perfect.
Okay. Yes, you're welcome.
Brenda, we're about to vote on the approval of the agenda for the day. I have a motion and a second, and all in favor indicate by saying aye, and Brenda, it's your turn.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go to the July 9th meeting minutes.
Move to approve as email.
A motion by Hatton, a
second.
second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go right into the monthly reports, and Facility Manager Milo is here. Good morning, Milo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Going to be pretty exciting this morning. I advised Terry he should get here early and get a front row seat for this one. Actually, my report's going to be pretty brief this morning. I'll start with Memorial Park. To make it a quick and easy report, I'll just say busy, busy, busy. I haven't seen the park this busy in the 20 years that I've been associated with it. At this pace, we will certainly be recording a record year by far, unless something unforeseen happens. Water has been an issue, but we have not lost any campsites because of it. We had surface water sitting between sites after the last 2-inch rain last week. The ground is so saturated that any rain just sits on top. There's literally no place for it to go, but that's old news for everybody. Same situation anywhere you look. The lake level is up again considerably. It's right on the edge of infiltrating the campground. It's something that we watch and fret about every day, but that's out of our control, so we just deal with it as we can. Ag building, kind of the same story. The rain is on the verge of giving us problems out there also. The drain tile that we installed a few years ago is doing its job as well as it can. Last week after that big rain, we didn't have water in the barn, but it was literally within inches. We are looking at installing some additional gutter out there to try and deflect more water to the parking lot and away from that center area in between the buildings. Courthouse, the landscaping on the west side of the entrance has been completed except for the planting. This is kind of a carryover project from last year along with all the construction and everything else, so that's coming along. The parking lot seal has been completed. That was just done this weekend. It's been on their agenda for about 2 months. And gee, guess what? The rain has been holding that one up too. Detention center, our staff just completed installing some new flooring in the area that's utilized for the doctor's visits. Plans are underway to remove the ceiling and redo one of the dorm areas. That will be coming up probably within the next month. They're just waiting for contractors to get some material in and that kind of thing. The floor ceiling has been completed in the Sallyport area and apparently works as expected. They had a lot of water in the garage after that rain. Seems like I talk about the rain a lot. They had a lot of water come in the garage during that rain and nothing made it to the basement, so that's a good sign. This afternoon's meeting with Don Brown from Reno Dry has been moved from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in my office. If anyone is available to attend that, you're more than welcome. And that's my report for this week.
Any questions for Milo?
Just
Go ahead, Mike.
on the Reno Dry thing, I checked on, like the thing is what called rising damp, the phenomenon. So I checked with the state historical office and said, is this a real thing? And they said, yeah, it's a real thing. They sent me articles and stuff. They weren't familiar with the Reno Dry device, but they were familiar with the problem, so that it's seeking to remedy. So, they're not making this up, so that's good. And then the other thing I want to ask, and the fire alarm system, is that done pretty much, or are they still finishing that up?
They're still finishing that up. We have a date set for later in the month where they're will be coming up and actually hooking up the wires to the computer portion of the section and doing all the testing and that kind of thing. And that's scheduled for later in the month. I don't have the date right off the top of my head, but we're getting really close now.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that we probably need to think about, we have money budgeted to finish the sprinkler system in the rest of the building. So we did the basement and the ground floor with the sprinklers, but and the plan is to eventually take care of the rest of it. We budgeted for that, so maybe we need to do an ad for bid, and maybe you and I can work together on that to try to get it done, at least get it started this year. So, but as we're talking about budgets and things, we'll have to think about whether or not we're going to be able to spend that this year, or do we need a budget for next year? So,
All right.
Milo, what's the condition of the lake right now as far as the algae and stuff? I received a phone call from a gentleman who took his dog out to the park there, and he was later told by a vet that if he let his dog swim in the lake, that it could have been fatal because of the amount of algae and stuff out there. Is it still in that
was
condition?
an issue a couple weeks ago. They had a bit of a bloom, but I was told it was different than the blue algae or whatever, so it was a different form, still some toxicity to it, but different, if that makes any sense. And
It's nothing we need to put signs up warning people to keep their animals out of the lake or their dogs out of the lake. Okay. All
All right. Any other questions for Milo? All right. Thank you, Milo.
Thank
do
you.
we want to talk budget, Mr. Chairman? Or?
Oh, yeah. Do you have your budget?
I have my budgets.
first.
I don't know, do we start with the easiest one first? Or do we save that for last? I don't know. The first one I have on my pile here is the West Nile prevention budget. According to my notes on here, it says page 37.
37, huh?
Thank you, Bill.
There's a West Nile prevention tab as well.
What color is it?
Mine's white. It's right after
All right.
county nurse.
Which one are you looking for?
West Nile.
Page 37. It's on the screen if you want to.
428.
Page
Okay.
37, huh?
This budget is just,
Way back here.
Oh, in the back. Thank you. Yes, I'm ready.
this budget request for 2020 is identical to the request from 2019. No changes in that whatsoever. And that's basically wages and supplies.
Yep.
And I think that's probably all we have to
Any
say about
questions
that one?
on that one? Was that the hard one or was that the easy one?
Well, I'd like to say that was the hard one, but that was the easy one.
All right.
Okay, the next one on my pile would be the ag building.
All right. What color is that? I got
523.
red.
Is that under, that's
Page
separate?
52.
Yep. Okay, my major difference in the ag building budget, and this will also carry over to the park budget, I am requesting to take one of the park seasonal employees and make them a full-time permanent employee. And that will be stay at the park, but then roll over into the ag building for the winter months or wherever it's needed. Steve has become increasingly busy with his weed board work, and he's been doing a lot of research and stuff during the winter for right-of-ways and that kind of thing. So he's becoming less and less available as an extra person out at the ag building. So I do have an increase in personnel services from 116,000 and change to 139,795. Okay, going through the other current expenditures, building insurance, I did raise just a matter of about $600. That would be to cover expected rises in cost. Equipment rentals I kept the same. Repair and maintenance I kept the same. Building supplies are the same. Basically all the way down to utilities. I did have a slight increase proposed for utilities. And the total for other current expenditures is $92,675, which is down from last year, which was $94,610.
Cindy, what's covered in 429.0? That's the other current expenditures. There's 3,500 in there. What's covered in that line?
That would be odds and ends projects that are not
Don't-
annual.
So it went from 7,000 down to
Yeah,
3,500.
and that's, like Cindy said, that's just odds and ends that really don't fit anywhere else.
I think
Okay.
we may have, did we take our staging out of that last year? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But things like that are not an annual
Okay.
expenditure, probably something out of the ordinary.
Troy, could you get your mic close up there?
Yeah, Cindy, you want to bend your mic down and turn?
Well, it's not even on.
There you go.
Under capital outlay for buildings, I have 48,000 in there, which is down from 56,000. Some of the things, what I'm looking at for capital outlay is doing some more floors. You're removing tile and having the epoxy finish put in like what we've been doing. And I would also like to remodel the restrooms in the kitchen area. So I have $30,000 in the budget for that. Machinery and equipment, number 434, I have $12,000, and that is to replace a floor scrubber, that we currently have that is starting to age out. So with that, my total request for 2020 for the ag building is $292,470, which is up from $267,436.
And it's about an 11%, no. Let me see once. I got 11% figured there, but that seems high.
That's pretty close.
The increase is going to be
Yeah, it
employee
is.
wages
Okay.
and
It's about
salary is
11%.
substantial, the
Yeah.
health insurance.
It's
The
about 11.
primary driver on that increase is
It's
wages.
11%, okay.
On the ag building, and I know that this is maybe just a little bit, but it brings up the question, are we doing all right with SDSU on the extension addition? As far as utilities and
We are.
maintenance and everything is all?
Yep, that's staying in line very well.
All right.
So we're charging them enough, right? Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
So we want. All right. Now,
Okay, next one I have is County Park. It's
522, it's close to the ag building one. Just one number away.
Page 50.
Okay, here, once again, my increase in personnel services, going from 84,693 to 101,952. We're requesting to go take one of the seasonal employees and make that a full-time employee. The next section, other expenditures, insurance bumped up just a little bit to accommodate increase in costs. Park rentals, this would be for equipment that we rent. I increased that from 300 to 1,000. The repair and maintenance budget, I reduced from 66,000 to 50,100. Park supplies, a slight reduction there, 10,000 down to 8950. Little items for, garbage hauled, $400 for travel and conference. Utilities, I do have a bump up in there to 27,245, and the other current expenditure is at 7,945. So the total for that section is 99,240, which is down from 114,800. Under 432, capital park outlay, or capital outlay, I have 18,200, and in my notes, the description on what is planned there, we have money to re-roof the manager's house, money to re-roof one of the bathhouses, money to rewire the Lakeside Chapel, which is currently still the old fuse box, and very limited outlets in there. I think we have probably one set of outlets and then one to run a refrigerator. So that's just some updating that needs done in there. And also we'll do floor finish to one more bathhouse. So that gives me a total nearly identical to last year. I tried to absorb the cost of the new employee as much as I could, you know, throughout the rest of the budget. This year's request is for $219,392. The budget for this year was $219,493. If the money fairy happens to make a visit during the budget process here, you could certainly throw another 50,000 in there to do more projects at the park. We tried to keep control on that, and we'll just do what we have done in the past, you know, and keep pecking away at the projects that we can handle.
Well, at Cindy, 415, the employer health insurance. Jog my memory, why was it 0?
Because we never had anybody full-time on
Sure.
there.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
with nobody qualified for health insurance.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
These health insurance figures, you got those figured at what percentage?
Pardon?
What do you have the health insurance figure on this?
What percentage?
What percentage of this
Increase.
is your health insurance?
Well,
How
that's,
much did
the
you
increase
increase
went up from 0 to 5,200. We have not had any employees at the park that have had health insurance in the past. You know, and that number may well be off. You know, that was a shot in the dark at the time the budget was put together.
Milo, I'd like to talk with you briefly about the employee that you would like to add out there. Why do we need a full-time employee at the park?
Just the workload itself is enough to carry on well past the seasonal portion. Actually, last year we kept him on, or kept an employee on through the first part of December even. You know, just because we had the money available, so we got a lot of extra stuff out of, you know, kept him busy, put it that way.
Well,
So it'd be a full-time seasonal position then,
No, it would be full-time, year-round.
year-round?
Year-round position.
Okay, so what's this person going to be doing in January and February when it's 40 below and there's nothing to do at the park?
He will be located at the Ag Building,
Okay,
basically replacing what we've been using Mr. Mollengrath for, and as he's becoming,
So the total cost
Less available.
between the ag building and the park is going to be for that employee?
correct.
What is the total cost?
What is the total cost? I don't have that broken out individually.
Really? We're doing a budget?
Pardon?
We're doing a budget and we don't have figures?
Well, you got figures you can look at right there that I've given you for the cost of the employees. I don't have you, what I have for Memorial Park, the
Well, we've got,
maintenance position at 23,205. At the Ag Building, that total would be 12,353.
now is this, my life, maybe I don't understand, but is this position, is this the same ag position and park? When we were talking about the ag budget, you said about a full-time position at the ag building as well. So is this the same position?
Yeah.
So the
One
so it's a
employee would be
shared.
split between the two.
Okay, so it's not two separate full-time employees.
Correct.
Okay, I feel better about that then.
Okay, yeah, it's one position that'll split time between the
Okay.
park and the Ag Building, or wherever they would be needed during the winter.
Okay.
Last year, actually, I had the extra employee up here at the courthouse moving snow a lot.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't hiring two new full-time employees. So,
And it was the one new full-time position will be replacing a seasonal position, so it's, you know.
was that seasonal employee split between the ag building and the park as well? Or not? They were just at the park mainly
They were
during the
just at
summer
the
months?
park mainly.
Okay.
Why don't we go with 2 seasonal employees?
But we already have 2 seasonal
I
employees
mean,
out
have a
there.
seasonal employee for the park and have a seasonal employee up here, and then we would,
I
you
think
could
you're
look at health
probably going to,
insurance is a big savings.
yeah, I think you're probably going to run into legal problems if you have, basically then you have a full-time employee that you're not giving benefits to.
Doesn't have to be the same person, Milo.
True. But that's not what I requested. You know, and if you
No,
want
I'm
to go
just
that
asking
route,
you to look at it in a different way, that's all.
if you want to go that route, we certainly can.
All right, any other questions for Milo? Good questions.
I don't have any problem with your request, Milo. I was just wanting clarification
Sure.
on what they would be doing in the winter months, because we all know we live in South Dakota, and there's not a lot to do in a park in South Dakota in the wintertime, so.
It would help, I mean, when you have a chance, maybe break down the numbers, just like Commissioner Waterman asked, you know, just so you can see the different.
No, I'm satisfied. with
You're
the
satisfied,
numbers.
okay, all right.
I'm just questioning the procedure.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Anything else for
No,
Milo?
looks, government buildings is next, I think.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
He's
Milo.
not finished.
Brenda, are you
Oh,
still
did
there?
you do your government buildings?
Nope,
Okay.
that's next.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
still here.
It's in
Okay,
the
just
front
checking.
part of your book, 161.
Page,
Right by the DOE.
page 16,
Yellow, right there.
page 16, I think.
It's way back in the front.
You can't really go by these page numbers, because if we have to rerun part of
I
a
know.
report, it throws all the
in
page
that
numbers
area.
off, but you can try.
I just do a
Yellow
search.
on a green tab. All right, go
Okay,
ahead, Milo.
we got everyone there? All right, for our personnel services, a total for request for 2020 is $252,936, as compared to the 2019, the current year was $250,150. So there's just a slight increase there, no plans, no changes planned there other than, you know, if there's or accommodating for the step raises and that kind of thing. Insurance and bonds, I did increase by 5,000 to 27,146. We were actually short in that category this year, so that's the reason for the increase there. Repair and maintenance, we dropped down to 52,405. 2019 request was at 67,479. That repair and maintenance issues, I kind of have that spelled out in the paperwork that I give you, but that includes all of the service contracts, you know, for the elevators and Johnson Controls. And I did make a shift in here in this budget. Our Johnson Controls contract, service contract, has always been entirely billed through the courthouse, and actually a portion of that should have been billed, you know, to the detention center building. So while that didn't have any effect on the actual Johnson Control numbers, we just split that out a little bit to more correctly identify where it's going. And then I have, you know, just various repairs listed throughout the year, you know, parking lot, crack sealing, you know, electrical repairs, etc. Supplies, I kept at the same number as last year, 13,200. Uniforms, I kept at the same number, 1,050. Travel and conference, I kept at the same number, 2,750. This would include going to the Facility Dude seminar, which I did not attend this year. Building utilities, I increased slightly to 42,149. I did add another category this year, number 42810. This is for government building nurses' utilities. So that's to cover the cost of utilities in their new location, which is I have 2,600 for that line item. Other current expense, I have at 5,000. There again, that's kind of a catch-all for stuff that doesn't fit anywhere else. So that gives me a total for other current expenditures of 146,700 compared to 2019 of 149,458. Number 432, building improvements. That amount for this year is at 65,000, down from 346,000 last year. Of course, that included the remodel. Those improvements that I have on here are for 15,000 for the Reno dry system that we have been talking about, and I have 50,000 for parking lot construction. Parking is at a premium around the courthouse and the courthouse area. We've made many attempts in the past to improve the general availability to the public, and we kind of know how that's all worked out for us. I guess my opinion is if you build it, they will come. The price for expanding the parking lot to the north at the time of my budget request, I took kind of a shot in the dark of 50,000, and the numbers come in at 53,000, so I was actually pretty close. But what we would do would expand the parking lot from where it currently exists to the sidewalk.
To the west.
Broadway.
To the west.
To the west, yeah.
To the west.
Directly west.
Okay.
You know, and I have visited with the folks at City Hall, and you know, what we're proposing to do is okay. You know, we cannot add another entrance to the street, you know, but we have it configured so we have, you know, we gain some additional parking spaces. And I had kind of a drawing of that and a number of parking spaces, but I didn't get that up here. So that's my request to, you know, work on our parking issue. And lastly, and I did want to point out, I have no request in here for fire sprinkler work
Yeah.
on the above floors.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, so
This year.
we'll just have to look at that, right, it's in for the 29, that amount's in the 2019 budget, but if we can't get it spent, then we'll have to look at putting that in there,
Correct.
so, okay.
Okay, and 434, machinery and equipment. I have request in for a new pickup and a snow blade at a total cost of $35,567. This truck purchase will have the chain reaction with, you know, the current truck would go to the Ag Building, the Ag Building truck would go to Memorial Park, and the Memorial Park truck, which is a 2003 Chevy, would be retired and you know, moved to the county surplus auction. So it gives me a total capital outlay of $100,557. The last two items on there are debt principal and debt interest. That is for the improvements that we did 9 years ago.
And I think we have one payment left, so we might be able to cut that in half.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
You know, so, and that totals $92,139 for debt service, giving me a total request for government buildings of $592,332, which would be down from $837,747.
If you take out the big project we did, this is a 6% increase for Milo's courthouse budget from last year, if you take out the big one. So otherwise, it was down 41%, but that's kind of a,
Yeah, kind of
not a true figure. Troy, in answer to your question, on the 429 budget in the ag building, we did take the quick stage out of that line
Okay.
item this year for $7,300, so, and then there were some other minor charges out of there too, so.
All right, good. Any other questions for Milo? Anything else?
All right.
A lot of numbers here.
Lots of numbers.
Thank you, Milo.
Thanks for putting up with me for the
All right.
last 20 minutes.
Thank you, Milo.
Rental drives at 2?
Pardon?
Rental drive guys at 2?
Rental guy drives it too in my office. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, let's go right on into the highway department. Rick, now that we've been looking at some bigger numbers, he's done really well us now. Okay?
Yeah. Well, I'll start off with the monthly report. The sign shop is complete. The only thing we're waiting for is municipal utilities they have to hook up the transformer, which is on the other side of our property on John Hopper's property. We had to cut down a couple trees so they could get in there with the boom truck to get up to the pole to get to the transformer. And hopefully this week they'll have that completed because it's all wired. Everything's done on the inside and the outside. We started chip sealing yesterday. We finally got a full staff back. We had a couple guys that were on medical leave. We started in South Shore. I just text our distributor driver. The tanker finally showed up. He was supposed to be here at 8 o'clock this morning. That's part of the problem we have is getting a truck on time, if we can get a truck at all to deliver oil. Trucking's tough. So we'll finish South Shore this morning, and then they'll move down, and we've got 2 miles to do for Pelican Township, and then we've got a mile in Grover that we have to do, and then we'll go over to 27 on the west side of Henry, and that runs all the way north to the county line. We're going to chip seal that. 81A, which is 6 miles north of Henry, there's a mile there, and then a mile south of the county line, there's 21A. We'll do that. So that will all be chip sealed this year. We couldn't haul our P-rock to where I wanted to put it right along 27, but we did get it closer to another pit, which is east a few miles, so it's going to take us longer to haul, and we'll have to use one of our gravel roads. So that we may get a few complaints on that, as far as there's only a couple houses, but
Sorry. Donuts. Yeah. Okay, donuts, fair enough.
I'm done.
Hey, you get to look at the budget, okay, on the screen. So. I had my phone off, but I didn't have my iPad.
Now you threw me off.
It's a test.
We have purchased a rock grizzly. Our mechanic has done some updates to it to clean rock. We have spots that are going to need riprap, and some of the stuff we can get has some dirt in it, and this way we'll be able to clean it up and make nice stuff out of it. We purchased it for $100 from Gene Day. It was an old one that's sitting in a gravel pit probably since I started here. But our mechanic has made it into, looks like something you bought from a factory. It saved us quite a bit of money to do that. Let's see. We have did some shoulder work because of the high water on County Road 81. We're about half done on that. We need to add a little bit more to the shoulder, and then we'll have to gravel the spot where we added, because there was a spot in there roughly 850 feet that the shoulder got washed.
We did another spot down on 20-1. We have that completed. The shoulder work, we still have to put some gravel on the road surface. It's not anything bad that's muddy or anything. We have other spots throughout the county that the winter was hard on our gravel roads, really hard on them. I have a handout for you here. I got a request to lower speed limit out on, it's our County Road 14, which would be 4th Avenue. There's roughly 1,730 feet of 45 miles an hour. The first picture you see is on the west end. This is right by 78th Street, which would have been 139 that goes around the west end of the lake.
Okay.
There's a, as you can see, I'm not very far from the intersection. When I took the picture, the first picture you see is a 35-mile-an-hour curve sign. There's 2 curves in there, and on the other side of that, there's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. I got a request from one of the residents out there, because when you're coming from the east, it's 30 miles an hour. It starts way back, I think at County Road 17, and it's 30 miles an hour around the lake there until you get right past the entrance that goes into Sandy Shores. Then it changes to 45. Like I said, there's 1,700 feet there that they'd like to see drop down to 30 miles an hour.
So from the entrance of Sandy Shores to the stop sign at 139
Yep, to the west.
is
It's 45 miles an
45.
hour. Yes.
There's no houses or anything along there.
There's one house on the south side. There's a new house.
On the south side, okay.
Yep.
Oh,
And see,
yes,
there's
there is,
2
that's right.
curves there, and the state has planted trees on the south side, so wildlife has inhabited that area. That was a request that I received, so.
What's the issue with the 45? They think that's too fast, obviously.
fast
Are they
there.
concerned about,
Because they ride horse and stuff out there, there's people walking. This is part of the road where they have proposed a bike path to.
okay,
Right now, you have to bike on, is this road you have to bike on to get around the lake?
there's no
right?
path
Yeah, there's no
along that
path there or
stretch.
anything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of blind where that curve
Yeah.
is, so at 45 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and it's,
I've biked that a couple times.
you know, it's like a 23-foot road, maybe 24 at the top.
There's no shoulder along there.
Yeah, there's absolutely no shoulder, so that makes a difference too, so.
You walk and ride at your own risk there. that's
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You have no problem with doing that?
No, I do not.
And I would recommend it. Way back, a while back, I think that whole area along South Lake Drive, and I know you guys went out and you did some speed checks out there,
Yep,
but
yep.
it's that road is really narrow, and there's a lot of kids, especially on the weekends when all the out-of-towners come and use their uncle's cabins out there.
And a lot of those homes on the lake side are built right up to the road.
Yeah,
There's no,
There's
there's no
not
room
hardly
there,
room to
so.
park cars.
Well, we're talking about that stretch between the stop sign and the entrance to Sandy Shores. Dropping that down to 35, that's the
30.
30.
Because it's 30, because we'd have to, basically all we'd have to do is take the 35 mile an hour speed limit sign off the curve, put a 30 on there, or a 30 where the 45 mile an hour speed limit sign is. The 35 and the 45 would go away.
So you do it on a 30.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Because there's people, that camp at the park. They go out and they walk on the road, because there's only so many things you can do and it's, like you stated, there's no shoulder, there's nowhere to go. So,
See, you got a picture of my son's pickup. He was out there.
hey, I'm not sure who it was. It just happened to be going by when I snapped the picture.
That's it. I can't think that's his picture.
And it sure could be.
It would be nice to keep that speed limit consistent
Yeah.
with that all the way to the stop sign.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
would be
less
nice.
confusing.
Yep.
Especially now that we have a home that's built, that's going to be accessing that strip of road there.
Yep.
Is that something we have to do by ordinance?
That I'm not exactly sure.
I think we need to check on that.
I'm sure we got to solicit public input, don't we, on
I
that?
think we have to do it by ordinance, so we'll have to have some public hearings.
Yeah.
And I'll check on it to see how we did it the last.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll discuss it at next week, okay?
Well, or whenever Rick wants to.
You
Yeah.
might want to get a hold of the property owner there too and have them come and give us
Okay.
some testimony on that.
Yep,
if they
I can do that.
want to do that.
Okay.
This is also part of where they proposed the bike path to go along there. So that would help them too. And eventually, if the bike path gets built, I would like to give this stretch of road to the city. So,
That'd be great.
because the way we pile snow where their bike path is planned to be. And depending on how things are set up, it has to be remain open. We're not gonna open it. That's where we pile our snow. And our equipment is pretty good sized, so we'd be busting up the bike path.
This issue has been somewhat addressed in the past,
Yeah.
6 months ago or so.
Yeah, and the engineering outfit, I'd already talked to them, and they relayed the message to the city, so. Yep.
All right, good.
Okay, moving on. Last fall, we had a County Road 20-3 that was damaged when they were hauling manure.
Yep.
I received a check last week for the full amount of the damage. He even overpaid, so I have to refund him a little bit, but that has been taken care of.
Good.
Because it was one of those deals, they broke the road hauling liquid manure into a field. It was late. I called Dunix. Dunix came and fixed it. And their price is just what I passed on. There's no inflation there or anything. So that's taken care of. Next Era has sent a check for $7,704.45 to pay for the banner evaluation. I just have another one yesterday that I will forward on to them. And this money that I get back from Next Era, I would like to put in some kind of account or in the budget or something that I can maintain that for when banner, because we're gonna have more bills until about the first of the year of them evaluating our roads for the wind towers.
I gotta go beyond that too.
What was that?
I gotta go beyond that too. probably.
Yep. So I'd like to keep this money so,
But how can we do that, Cindy? Is there any, can we create a,
It would be an automatic supplement.
okay,
Yep, it'd be an automatic supplement. We can set up a separate line item in Rick's budget to show exactly, or where did we pay, we've already paid Banner, haven't we?
yes.
Okay, we'll have to look at it to see, but it can be done by an automatic budget supplement. It'd be nice to have a separate line item so we can see exactly what we're getting from the people who take advantage of our bill with Banner.
which is good that we have that, because I know we'll be getting a lot of questions about,
Yeah,
are they paying their fair share? Are they
Yep.
pulled up
And-
to the deal? Yeah.
And so far, they've been really good about keeping up, so.
That was one of the concerns. Good.
ideally, we should have set up a separate line item when we paid the Banner bill, and we might still be able to make some kind of adjustment there so we can show it all going in and out of the same line item,
Yeah, it'd be good if we
just
could
for
do that.
audit purposes. It would
Because
be cleaner.
we're gonna have that ongoing till almost the first of the year, evaluating the roads with them doing that, and then next year when they finish, then they'll have to come back and do it again, so we're this wasn't budgeted money, so. All right, we'll move on.
Well, let's hope that it continues to be just passed through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so far they've been really good about it.
All right.
Okay,
Ready for the budget then?
no, but we suppose
Oh, you
we'll have
got
to.
two
I suppose we'll have to.
You got a few more pages left, huh?
No, this, I'm moving on to the budget.
All right.
All right, first off, what you guys have, I have. I
And
made a
we
mistake.
we'll correct your binders this week with the right amounts.
You have that?
Yeah, I do.
Is this different than what we have?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple of, just a couple of numerical, errors and, that we're gonna correct.
Yeah, I was going through it and, my numbers for some reason didn't add up. Well, I'd made a mistake and corrected it, so,
All right.
okay. All right, first off, with salaries, that comes to $878,950.56. I figured that at a 3.5% raise. Okay, 425. Equipment, maintenance, repair. I had air in there, as you can see on the new paper, that went up to $45 to $293,080. Bridge repair, I have $90,000 budgeted. Asphalt patching, $50,000. Comes up to $434,070.
That's line 425.
425.
Yeah.
It's within line 425, right?
Yeah.
All these numbers
Yeah.
are within. This is a kind of a breakdown of his 425,
Okay. Yep.
okay?
Okay, and 426, this is all within that line. I have striping of $25,600, that's 40 miles this year. Grease, motor oil, gas, anything that had to do with oil or any petroleum products took a jump this year. So all that went up. My chip sealing, that went up between 10 and 15%. Paving, that was another one that went up between 10 and 15%. And that, 426, that came out to $1,027,185. Okay, 434, I have 3 trucks that I'd like to put on my budget for next year, and that is $490,000. After last winter, the truck repair bill we had was rather huge. We have some older trucks in our fleet that need to be replaced.
Rick, do we know, what we could offset that with? Like, we're gonna be selling these older trucks? As surplus property, will it be
Well,
a trade-in?
they'll be surplus property. I'll get a price on what they give us,
So there could be some revenue to
Yeah.
apply to this 490,000.
but it won't, I'm not sure if it'll be a whole lot.
Okay.
But it'll be some.
How old are the trucks that,
One is a 98.
okay, all right, that explains why we aren't gonna get much for a trade-in, okay.
And the other one,
Okay,
the other 2 are like 2,000.
okay,
So,
it's not gonna be a significant amount,
Yeah.
but, okay.
Yep.
All right,
So, and what, just so for everybody's information, what kind of trucks are these? Are these the,
Freightliner.
okay.
The trucks, I'll I'll be able to buy off the state bid, but then the box, I'll have to bid that to put the box on them, so.
If you look at that top budget worksheet, the very first page, it'd be page 2 of Rick's total budget, not his items, but, my budget worksheet. You can see back in 2016 and 17, we spent $371,393 the next year. So, last year we only spent 113 and 154 so far. This year we budgeted 179,000. So it's kind of a cycle where we go through and it's a little bit more one year than it is other years.
Yeah, because after this year, I think, our motor graders come due.
That's what I was gonna say, the motor graders are.
Yep, there'll be
right around
3
Yeah.
motor graders that
Yeah.
will come due.
But on this
in
budget worksheet
2021.
here, go to
So-
434.
And then there'll be a
And you
break,
can
there won't be
see
any for a few years.
kind of a pattern.
So,
Yeah.
It'd be
Yep.
kind of helpful, I think,
Okay.
to see that kind of mapped out for the, kind of like you do your 5-year plan for the roads itself, and you kind of see this for the equipment as well, just to kind of get an
And you can
idea.
see it
of
on
Yeah.
this sheet better than
Yeah.
anything.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, I
That'd
agree.
be kind of a handy thing to see, kind of the long range, we can expect to replace this year, that, this year.
Yeah, because those are pretty big expenditures.
Yeah.
So
And we
nice
had
to have
those 2 and 3 years ago, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, because our motor graders are on a 7-year program.
Yeah.
They're under warranty for 7 years, so. All right. Line 429 is road and bridge expenses. I have 465,000 budgeted for that. Capital improvements, there's 660,000 for that. The wheel tax is in there at 225,000, so the total is 1,350,000. And if you go down a little bit, that's for gravel, expense for gravel. Next year, paving 5 miles of road on 17-4. There's culverts that need to be replaced up by South Shore on County Road 9-1. There's 100,000 for that. And then the bank stabilization on County Road 7-5. There's 250,000 budgeted for that. And then the grand total is 4,724,500, which increased $544,195 for about a 12.9% increase from this year's budget. And part of this, is, like I said, with the wind turbines, buying the new trucks, the 3 projects for next year, the paving, the culvert replacement, and the bank stabilization. So,
You and I need to go through this, Rick, because I only have a 6% increase, so between the two of us,
Okay, all right.
we'll
But this
nail
is-
down this,
So just for,
we're gonna nail this down to get it closer, yeah.
Mr.
I don't,
yeah, I like Cindy's better too.
so, Mr. Chairman, just so we're following, so this is the road and bridge budget, the county snow removal, and the capital improvement road and bridge. Those
Yep.
three,
Yeah.
those 3 different
I
sections of
have
it.
your budget for the current year at 4.4 million, and I've got your budget at 2020 for 4.7 million, so I have a little bit less than what, so we just
Yeah,
need to go,
see-
we just need to go through our numbers. Some of my stuff is in a different place than where yours is, so
Okay, yeah, because see,
we will work on it.
on this year's budget, I think
Yeah.
what I have is 4.2. So,
Yeah, no, this year's budget is 4.7. Unless we did an automatic supplement, no, 4.4. Your
Okay,
budget
yeah,
this
see,
year is 4.4.
the one that I have back at
To
the
look at
office.
is 4.2, yeah.
Yep,
There's
so-
something missing from there,
So
so
maybe that's where that 12% came from.
you and
so.
I will work on narrowing
Okay.
this down and getting the same.
But now the snow removal, the 85,000, that's separate.
Well, no, that's part of the grand
That
total.
is part of this?
That's part of the
all
grand
part of
total,
it.
Yep.
the
Yeah, it's all part of the
4.7.
All
Yep,
right.
yep.
Yeah,
It's looking better then.
It's good rundown, it's a good explanation.
And you know what, if it doesn't snow, we won't have to spend any of that.
I'm with you, Myron. I am with you. Because we've already have 987 hours of overtime this year. That included
Mother Nature.
snow removal. Yeah, Mother Nature pretty much did that to us, almost 1,000 hours, so.
And then, this is the old guy on the board talking here, but I tell you what, if we do have snow, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, because with everything as full as it is right now, if we get a unusually heavy snow this winter, when it comes time for runoff, there's gonna be no place for it to run off to. And
You're
that
absolutely correct.
means we're gonna have more roads underwater, more culverts out, more bridges out, and I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
Or we just won't get any snow and the sun will come out and everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
Be a late
Let's hope.
fall and an early spring.
Because we have a lot of roads that are right there.
Right at the edge.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Let's be optimistic.
Just a quick question, Rick, there's 490,000 for those 3 new trucks. Is that did you get bids on those or
That's
is that
state
that's,
just
the
just
trucks were off the state bid, and the boxes were I got a rough estimate on those, so.
So we have a set price for the trucks.
Yes.
We know this.
Yeah, we can buy those off the state bid for roughly between 112 and 115,000. That's just the cab and chassis.
Sure.
So, yeah. Yeah, there's nothing cheap.
No.
All costs money. If you like to drive on a smooth road.
You know, and I know when we look at this 4.7 million, but it's like, when I used to sit on the township board, that's what taxes are for, maintain roads. The safety and the operation and maintenance of roads and bridges is very, very important.
Yes, it is.
And I would preface that saying that we probably have too many roads in Cudahy County. You know, basically, we have a lot of roads, but it's expensive, and it gets. And last night when we were talking about a couple of situations, and one of the requests was from one of the patrons out in the area that we should pave another mile of roads up in his area, and I said that's probably not going to happen. You know, take a county road, and if we were to put a top layer on that or pave it, it'd be, what, could we do it for $2 million now?
It just depends on, most roads nowadays are beat down. You can't just go and,
Oh, this would have to be redone.
because regrading a mile of road is between $200,000 and $300,000. And then to put a nice mat on it
Yep.
would be roughly between 130 to another $250,000. That's per mile. So,
And it's hard for him to understand, you know, why he said there's so much more traffic on it than there used to be, because all these semis now are hauling all the grain up north, you know, into, that area up in there, and they're going right down this road, and it's never been used like that before, and he said it needs to be paved. I said, well, probably right, it needs to be paved, but it's probably not gonna happen. You know,
yeah, and to make a truck route, well, the estimate that I gave you up by Wallace,
Yeah.
that was for a half mile. That was $190,000, and the blacktop is already there. That was milling out 2 inches
Yep.
and adding 4 to the top of that for a truck route. So,
Yeah, so it'd be a couple $1 million, I bet, by the time you
Yeah.
got the
Oh,
project
yeah.
done. Yeah,
yep.
it's unbelievable. All right, anything else for Rick? Sorry, thank you.
Nope.
Good rundown.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, guys.
A lot of big numbers. I don't have a lot of numbers here, but a lot of big numbers. Rick, would you mind just staying here for a few minutes while we wrap up? All right, let's continue. With number 7, well, that's review. We've been doing that.
Right?
We're all right there.
I have
Let's
nothing for 8, 9, and 10.
Oh, here we go. That's what we like to see. Let's go to number 11, action to approve personnel changes, and we do have 2 of them.
3. We have three of those. Yep. Correctional Officer Melissa Holtquist is due an anniversary step increase to step 8, $21.88 per hour. Wes Jennings is Correctional Officer, due an anniversary step increase to step 9, $22.31 an hour. Dave Heading is Maintenance 3 at the Highway. He's due an anniversary step increase to step 13, $42.92, $24.67 per hour.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Second?
Second that.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Hatton. Any discussion? Any discussion? Getting a lot of feedback or something.
It's background
Probably
noise.
the PA at the airport.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Hatton?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on to one travel request is what I have.
Yep, the Director of Equalization would like to send appraiser Heidi Selkert to the district meeting in Webster tomorrow.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Van Duzen, second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatton?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Old business, do we have any old business?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just
Yes.
wanted to clarify something on the, 2 weeks ago, we adopted a resolution for the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners to pursue legislation that would allow voters to save money by approving a half-cent sales tax when it came time to build county infrastructure buildings that are already named in statute. Just on the process that follows, so all that resolution does is, because I know there was a little bit of confusion about this, all that resolution does is ask the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners to pursue legislation. So then what happens after that gets drafted into a bill, assuming we find legislative sponsors, so it looks like we have a sponsor. So it would become a bill, and then the legislature would take it up, and and then the legislature and the governor obviously make bills into laws, and then the part I think that got a little confusing. Some people kind of took it to mean like if the voters approve, then it becomes a law. But no, this just is a law that would authorize voters to give voters basically an option, a money-saving option. So that's the idea.
If
with
it's
it.
approved
If
by
it's approved,
the governor and
so it has to become
legislature.
So just like anything else, it has to become a law first. So just to clarify that point, I think there was I got a phone call that was kind of confused. So anyway, just to clarify that point.
A lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
All right, any other old business? Anything else? How about new business? Do we have any new business?
Mr. Chairman, just one thing to mention. I think probably some of us, maybe all of us, got an invitation from the White House about going to a meeting on September 10th. I think maybe we might need to think about one of us going to that, because this is it's kind of historic that the White House is actually inviting county commissioners from around the country to come to a meeting at the White House. So there's a phone conference next week, Tuesday afternoon. So I signed up for that. We might want to just see what it's about, and then kind of have that in the back of our mind. I'm guessing the cost of something like that would be between $1,000 and $1,500, something like that, with the flight and everything. If that's something that we want to think about. As far as I know, there's no conference registration like you have it with some events. So it wouldn't be for that distance. It would be not that expensive, but it's probably not your typical thing you do either. So just
That's the second time in the last couple of years that they've offered that.
So it's kind of, it's kind of unique to this administration that they're reaching out to the county level of government. So it's in that sense, it's kind of historic. So does our county want to be a part of that? Is kind of the question. So I think we might want to consider it.
Okay, we'll consider that. Anything else? Any other new business?
This is the book from NACO this year. If any of you want to look through it, you can kind of see what type of programs were offered, if you'd be interested in the future. It's a good overview of what they offered this year. So
This is the county that the conference was held in. It was Clark County, right?
Clark County, Nevada. Yes.
Las Vegas.
Good.
It was hot.
It was hot. Thank you. And you learned a lot, right?
Did.
Good, excellent. Anything else for the new business? If not, we're going to go to the open. The only thing I have for the open is that tomorrow evening there is a picnic sponsored by the First District. It's their annual picnic, and we're all invited. And I just want to let the press know that I'm sure there'll be a quorum of commissioners there. Then we also have a couple of gentlemen that would like to address the board.
I have one thing beforehand. If we could just note in the minutes the passing of former Cottington County Sheriff Kurt Berg.
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet. That was awful sudden and
He was
surprising.
sheriff from 1971 to 1978.
Good. Thank you for reminding us, Cindy. All right, we do have a couple of gentlemen that would like to address the commission. Are you working together, or you want to, one by one? All right, you're alone, all right. You want to give him a mic?
You want to come on up
You
here?
want to come on up, yeah. Come on up and share with us, have a chair, share with us your name so the press will know who's talking and
They soon will if they don't, right?
yeah.
Yeah, just have a seat. Make sure and talk into the microphone.
Yeah, the green button is on, so you're good, yeah.
My objective is,
And who are you?
oh, let me say who I am.
Yes, please.
Okay, Emil Weiss, live in here, Sheridan Township. Been there 55 years. And my concern is, I built an assisted living out there in 1991. We've been there now going on 29 years. And we've never had any problem till, well, last year when the commissioners for the township all resigned. So nothing got done with the road all summer, but this year is really bad. And I have some pictures of the road going out there, and the doctors won't go out there anymore because it's too hard on their cars, and the guys at the fire department have talked to me and with the ambulance that it just shakes everything right off the wall. I've complained to the township board, and they're,
Do you want me to go make copies of these?
a month ago,
You can pass
they
them
said,
to
well, they
everybody
do
else.
something about it,
Yeah.
and finally yesterday morning, they put about 5-6 loads of gravel there, but then they quit and they didn't finish the 1.5 miles that I asked them to do, you know. I had Charlie out there. We took a ride one evening and looked at the roads a couple days after a rain, and then I took these photos of the roads so you guys could see what the road is like. I mean, it's like it was back in the 1900s. And I have a problem, you know, the ambulance has to get there when somebody is sick.
Right.
And all I asked you guys to do is maybe prod the guys, the supervisors in charge of the township.
That is a township road.
Yep. See, back in 93 or 94, Heine, when he was the county superintendent, he was gonna blacktop that to the spillway, and then they did that road that goes by Marv Chicks. And, well, that road that goes north and south, we put a counter on it. Last year, there was 300 cars a day on that. And then out of Meadow Lake, all alone with all the houses down there and people, there's about 30 patrons that go to town every day. Some of them go, you know, their wives go, and then, you know, people coming out to the home, going to get groceries, and Tom, sitting back there, he comes out and gets patients to take them to the doctor, and he's just going to voice his deal that it shook his car all apart, because it really is bad.
There's a new board in place out there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Nathan Reichling and Randy Swear.
And you've talked to them about this
I
problem?
talked to Nathan. Randy's been gone all spring to different things. I talked to Matt Kranz first, and he said, well, you're the problem that we got out here because you got all these people living out here. And I said, well, I didn't have nothing to do with people coming out here. And they pay some pretty high taxes down in there. You know, out of the Meadow Lake little deal there, they pay about between $50,000 and $60,000 worth of taxes, and you can't get there with their cars on a rainy day because the road's too muddy.
So basically, what your request is that we prod the supervisors of Sheridan Township to fix the road,
Yes, and
point blank, right? Fix the road.
and they graded it every year. I was on the board for 15 years, you know, and we've been doing this forever. We grade the road 3 weeks of the year, and then the city blades it 1 week, you know, of every month.
Do you have any idea how often is it getting bladed?
It's always been bladed like 3 times this year.
3 times this year.
Yeah, that's what Bob Rammel says that lives right on it.
Amo, which road is this specifically again?
Well, you go from Walmart south,
Okay.
down the curve there, you take that gravel by the Pans Farm.
Yep,
And see, there's a development out there. We got city utilities and everything.
okay, okay.
And we, you know, the road has gotten rough other years, but, you know, they've always seemed to pick it up and blade it, and we get by.
Now, is that the road that'll take you south to the landfill?
Yep. And
Okay.
the garbage trucks don't take this road.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so basically it's just an issue of no maintenance, poor
Right.
maintenance.
Well, they made a mistake this year. You know, when I was on the board, I went to the seminars in Pierre, you know, for Association for Townships. And they advised us not to pull the dirt in from the side of the road unless you can see gravel laying there, you know, when you look at it in the spring when the grass is dead. And what they did is they pulled in about 3 feet on each side of nothing but mud. And that's all laying on top of the road. You can see from the picture she's got.
Yep.
And part of it's really, you guys gonna look at them?
I'm
She's
gonna
gonna make copies for us.
I did make an error here stapling, so I'm looking for it.
But,
Yeah.
and it's worse, you know, and these pictures were taken 2 days after a rain.
There you go.
This year hasn't helped any, it's been pretty wet.
No, it's been pretty wet, but we've had other wet years, you know, I can remember in 1978, we had 44 inches of rain that summer. And you can see tracks where Matt's been out there with his drag, trying to drag it, you know, but so it would dry out. And this is 2 days after a rain.
All right, do you have any questions for Emo? Anyone have any questions?
No, we've had just a comment, we've had more over the last 3 or 4 months, as I was informed. Brenda and Rick have been out there looking at this. I went out and looked at it.
You need to get closer to your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not used to this mic thing. Over the last 3, maybe 4 months, I know Commissioner Hanton was out there with the road superintendent. I went out and looked at it. I understand it's a county issue. The road superintendent and the assistant went out and looked at it, and it's probably the biggest concern is the safety factor here. Because if we do get somebody down there, and it's not our business, but if somebody would not fail to get help due to the fact that we had a big rain or something like that, would be a major concern.
Okay,
Yeah,
Rick, you have anything you want to add to this, or you've been out there?
Yeah,
I've been out there and looked at it.
Uh-huh.
So I was there, day after rain, or maybe it was the same day. The road's nice and hard, it just needs gravel. It was rough, you know, there's divots and stuff in it, but
So if we could put a little pressure on the township to spend some money and gravel it, it'd probably take care of a lot of the problems, right?
that would take care of a lot of problems. Like I said, the road was nice and hard.
with all that mud on there, they're probably gonna need 6 inches of gravel, man, they get it bladed in, you know.
Yeah.
How long of a stretch of road are we talking about here? From where to where?
It's from the blacktop south of Walmart,
Yep.
a mile south,
Okay.
and then a big quarter-mile east.
Okay.
It's a good mile and a
So
quarter, a mile.
is that mile, is that the landfill road then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
if
the
you keep
landfill
going through
road?
the spillway, another
Uh-huh.
half mile south, then you go west of the landfill.
Okay. Okay.
Might just well say a mile and a half.
But I just had to turn to somebody, you know, to do
Okay.
something because, you know.
Myron,
Yes.
I guess I would just like to chime in on this. I have been involved in it with this. Like you or Rick and I went out there earlier this spring. I have had conversations with the township supervisors, and unfortunately, it's the biggest share of the issue is due to the weather conditions. I mean, the township supervisors plan on doing something. It's just been a matter of timing. So I'm glad to hear that they did put some gravel on yesterday, and hopefully they'll continue to try to improve the conditions out there.
Oh, they did put gravel on
Well,
yesterday.
yesterday they did that quarter mile.
Oh, they did the quarter. So why did they quit?
I don't know.
Oh. All right.
I talked to Bob Ramo, and his nephew's the one that's graveling it, hauling the gravel, and they said he just had orders to do that much, so that's all.
Orders from the
It might
township,
be,
I wonder?
might be a budget consideration too. For the
Yeah,
township, I'm
it
sure,
could be.
you know.
Well, they got money. I mean, they got enough money to gravel quite a few roads, you know, and most of the roads you can get by spot graveling. But where the traffic is so ungodly heavy, why, you almost gotta really take care of that. And
Okay.
where you got an ambulance deal too, where if somebody would die because they wouldn't get to the hospital, they have the right to sue the township, you know, and the county.
I will be checking into that again, I guess, and follow up as to, you know, what the plan is. Obviously, as a county, we can't tell them what to do. I mean, we can have conversations with them and at least try to figure out maybe what their plan is, but ultimately the decision is up to the township supervisors.
Yep, that's the way it works. That's called grassroots involvement. That's how that happens. Townships,
Well,
townships wanted that authority to be able to do that, and they got it. Now, sometimes they have trouble handling it. So,
So I talked to the Consumer Affairs at the Attorney General in Pierre, and he told me to come and see Rick, which I went out and seen Rick. We talked about it, and then come and see you guys. And this is, I'm following the orders of what the Consumer Affairs for the Attorney General told us.
and this is Sheridan Township.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Let's have the other
Thank you,
gentleman.
Emil.
Would you like to come up? Tell us who you are and share with us your concerns. It's the same issue, right?
Yeah. These are errand boys that take patients to the doctor.
My name is Tom Josted. I'm 71 years old, and I've lived in Watertown since
You want to talk back to the
1964.
mic?
Since 1964. I want to clarify one thing. I don't take these gentlemen to the doctor, which would have been a way to put it, but I pick up 3 fellas out there once a week, and we go to the VFW. It gives them a chance to get a break from their mundane situation of being in an assisted living. And on Saturday, I go back out and pick up an individual again. So I'm doing that road 24 times a week, or a month, excuse me. And I'm not here for a rose on my nose. I'm just here to say that even as long ago as 3 years ago, this road has been blatantly wanting. And last summer, the ripple pan on the road is so bad that I've got an older car, but it was kept in very good shape. And when I got it, I didn't have a rattle in the window. Now my rear window rattles. That takes some that takes some abuse to do that to an old Park Avenue Ultra. All I'm saying is I'm not here to read somebody's beads, but in the last year and a half, there has been blatant lack of input by this commission board. I don't know who they are. It's none of my business. I live in town. But when I have to go out there and choose to do that and beat my car up over that road, and everyone else is having problems today, even with issues of health and safety, fire, does not the county commission give money to these various townships? Do they share any monies at all with townships?
We collect the taxes and it's a pass-through, they get their portion.
We do share the wheel tax.
The wheel tax.
The wheel tax is shared with the townships, but I mean, we're at the minimum wheel tax
Okay.
in Cottington County, basically. But we do share that with them, and then they do have their own property taxes. Other than that, the county does not give townships any funds.
I guess what I'm saying, what I'm trying to convey here in a sophomorish way is we've got a lot of weather coming down the road. It's been wet since the 60s and cycled into the 80s, and now again wet again into the 2000s. They're not, it starts out with liberty and justice for all. The people out there paying those taxes aren't getting their justice because they're not getting the services that they're paying for. And if it's the case where the county can't do anything to the commission, then somehow or other, the people living out there paying those taxes are not being served. And I can't believe all the mundane stuff you guys have to go through, and have done this for decades, that I've sat in this town and never participated. You all should be commended for all that you do to sit up here and go through all of this. I've taken too much of your time, but they really need to do something.
We do appreciate your input, and I hope that the supervisors of Sheridan Township are listening and will read the paper in the next day or so and hear what you people have to say. Point blank. It's their responsibility, and they need to be taking care of it.
Yeah, and no one's here to read another person's beads. It's just a matter of performance.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Have a good day. And I appreciate what you're doing for those folks out there and getting them out of the nursing home and getting them in.
I'm 71.
Yeah.
A few more years, I'll be converted, maybe somebody picking me up.
You're just a kid. You're just a kid yet. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Is there any other thing, anything else for the open? Anything else for the open? Anything for the open? Seeing none, I have no requests for exec session, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Hatton to adjourn, second by Gable. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, Hatton.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
Anything else
You're
before
welcome.
we
Thank you,
disconnect?
guys.
All right.